The ego is not good or bad. It's just a part of the mind that attempts to create our identity. So the ego creates a steady stream of thoughts in the mind based off our past experiences. And our ego's talking to us all day long, and it tends to tell us the same stories over and over. So the ego is often fear-based, which causes us to be defensive and emotionally attached to what other people think of us. So the key is having an awareness of the ego and realizing that much of our suffering comes from our ego beliefs. So in this video, I'm going to share with you the 8 most common stories that come from the ego, and then I will teach you on how to do basically ego work and belief work so that we can get rid of these old stories that don't serve us. So the other thing I'll point out as well is competition and comparison is the voice of the ego. So simply being aware of that is powerful, because you can start catching yourself out if you have the awareness. You can start catching out your ego whenever it's being competitive or comparing, and you can tell yourself, oh, this is just my ego right now, and learn to not buy into those stories. So these are the 8 most common stories that come from the ego. The first one is, I'm not good enough. The second one is, I'm not worthy. The third one is, there is something wrong with me. The fourth one is, people are doing better than me. 5, I'm behind in some way. So this could be in my career, and having a relationship, and having children, and some type of accomplishment. You feel like you're behind. Number 6 is, no one will love me or stay with me. Number 7 is, someone is more attractive than me. Or 8 is, I can't do what other people can do. Now you might realize that you tell yourself some of these stories, and the reason we need to do this sort of work is because beliefs create reality, and beliefs are the same thing as the stories you're telling yourself. If these are the stories you're telling yourself, this is what you experience in your reality. And a lot of these stories stem from our childhood, right? So, I'm not worthy. That can stem way back to when you're a little kid, and you may have been treated in a certain way by your parents that caused you to develop a belief that you're not worthy. So, again, beliefs create reality. And if you continue to allow these stories to be playing in your mind, that is the reality that you will continue to experience. So now I'm going to teach you on how to get rid of these stories and how to reprogram new and better stories. So the first thing to do is to become aware of the stories. So awareness is key, right? They say 90% of your transformation is awareness. So simply by being aware of something, you're 90% there. You've only got a little bit of 10% of work to do to have that transformation. So when we observe the ego, we actually separate from it and we act from a space of consciousness, which gives us choice. So that's why the first step is to become aware of what stories you're telling yourself, and you can do this through meditation. Learn to observe your thoughts. Now, I recommend a candle meditation, which is where you just light a candle, and when you stare at the candle flame, it helps to quieten down your mind, because eyes that wander is a mind that wanders. So it helps you to focus and just quieten down the mind. And what you do is you just observe your thoughts, and as you're doing that, you'll start observing the stories that you're telling yourself. So you do it for about, say, 5 to 10 minutes every day. You got to think of it like the gym. Consistency is key. That's what gets you the results. And so what you do is you just observe your thoughts, but you do it as if you're sitting on a park bench and you're just observing them going past. It doesn't matter if they're positive or negative. It's not about controlling the thoughts. It's just observing what's coming up, observing your thought patterns, your beliefs, and your stories that you're telling yourself. So do that meditation every day for about 5 to 10 minutes, and you'll start noticing. And then what you do is write them down. When they start coming up, write them down so you can take note of it, because that's the key for when we get to step number 3, okay? You need to have them written down, a list of them written down, so we can work with that. Now, number 2 is identifying separateness. So realize, okay, these stories exist, and then acknowledge that these stories are not me. Okay, I have these stories, they're coming up, but these stories are not me. When you start acknowledging that, you start identifying that separateness, okay? Now, number 3, now once you've got your list written down, right, what you do is you write, you want to reprogram new beliefs or new stories that you prefer, right? So you have your beliefs, your stories that have been coming up, and I'll give you an example, right? So I have the I am not good enough belief or story that's constantly coming up whenever I'm trying to do anything in life, right? It stems from my childhood, and it was just to do with how I was treated as a child. And then whenever I'm doing something, whether it's like a hobby or whatever, I notice this belief's always coming up, and I feel like I'm hitting it like a wall. And I've had to start thinking more about it. Why do I have this belief? Why is it coming up, right? So number 3 is to reprogram new beliefs. So what you do is you have your list of your beliefs written down, and then next to those beliefs you write the new one. So for example, I have the I'm not good enough belief or story, and the new one that I wrote next to it is I am good enough, I'm getting better every day. So you write down your preferred story next to it. Once you've done that, you've got your list of your new beliefs, your new stories, you now need to reprogram. So what you do to reprogram is as simple as this. It's just repetition. So your subconscious mind rules your life. 95% of your outer reality comes from the programming of the subconscious mind. And that's where these stories are as well. We can have these types of stories in the subconscious, meaning we're not actually aware of it. So that's why the first step is to become aware. And that's why I said awareness is 90% of your transformation. Because if they're staying in the subconscious mind, nothing's going to change, and that's going to keep creating your reality. So that's why the key is to become aware. But then when we reprogram, this is just simply by repetition. That's how you program the subconscious mind. So what you do is you have your new list of beliefs and stories, and every day you read them out to yourself. So for example, I have the I am not good enough story, and then the new one is I am good enough, I'm getting better every day. And I say it to myself every day. I've got my list of beliefs written down, and they're next to my bed. So as soon as I wake up, I open my book, and I'm reading these beliefs every day. And eventually you'll get to that point where when you've done it enough, you've done the repetition of it, that it'll get to that point where it's now your new beliefs that's running, it's the new story your ego's telling you. You know what I mean? So the third step, reprogram new and better stories, the ones that you prefer. Eventually you'll get to that point where you won't have to keep reprogramming it. It'll automatically just be in your mind. I've already done this type of belief work. When was it? I think last year. I think it was January last year. I did a free 3-week course, and it was based around relationships like love, friendships, and family. And we had to look at our stories and our beliefs around that and reprogram new ones. And so I did that. I reprogrammed it every day to the point where it's like I believed it. That's the key. You want to get to that place where you actually believe it. You now believe this new story, because beliefs create reality. What you believe is what you experience. So commit to it. Have it next to your bed. Do it first thing when you wake up. Reprogram, repetition. And then you'll notice that your mind's shifted, and you don't need to repeat it anymore, because it's your new belief, So, and then once you do that, you can actually There might be other stories that you're unaware of, so you can move on to a next lot of stories, you know what I mean? It's just like awareness is key, really. It's just being aware of what your mind keeps telling you. And again, just become aware through meditation. And so the last thing is, at the end of this video, I'm going to link a video right here on how to do ego work. So that video I learnt from a psychologist on YouTube. So check that one out. And if you like this sort of video or this sort of content, then subscribe and hit the bell notification. And if you got some sort of value out of this video, let me know by giving me a thumbs up or write a comment. I hope you have an awesome day. Thanks for watching. Peace.